Oh, hey guys, how are you doing? So, I've never played Depression Quest before, and I just kind of thought I'd play through it. So this is a game from 2014, so early epochs of the internet, very, very old, I guess, and it's by the Quinspiracy, Patrick Lindsay, and whatnot. So yeah, there's three people who developed this thing, and thought I'd give it a go and sort of see how it works. And again, I briefly opened the game, but yeah, this is kind of really the first time I'm playing the thing. So yeah, we'll kind of see how it goes. I'll make it bigger for you guys. So yeah. I want to skip a little bit. So yeah, I guess if you guys want to read what's on the screen, you can. But I'm just going to kind of skip over it. Looks kind of good at the moment. View controls. Let's just begin. It is early on a Monday morning. You are a mid-20s human being. Interesting use of human being here. We usually say person. You have a significant other called Alex, who you are rather fond of. Well, yeah, probably if your significant other. That you have been seeing exclusively for the past few months. The rest of your social circle... I see, so this is kind of like the backstory. You can kind of reference things within the game. Consists of a variety of friends and acquaintances, some of whom you met at your day job, which is a little boring but pays for rent. You'd like to be doing more with your life, as would your parents, but you're still in the process of figuring out what that means and how to go about it. You were dealing with motivational issues, tell me about it, but sometimes make dealing with these things difficult. You feel like this is probably your fault, and on a bad day you feel inwardly angry and down on yourself for being lazy, but you're not quite sure how you can break out of it. Okay. You spend a lot of nights fixating on thinking about this, but never seem to do anything about it other than lose sleep. It's unreasonably warm. It's an unreasonably warm Wednesday evening. You've spent the past several hours at work. The past week or so, you've found your job motivation flagging. Okay. I'm going to skip over some of this, guys. I'm sorry. As you walk home, the streets hiss from the recent rainfall. You know that your significant other... Why not just call them your well, okay, significant other's fine because it's kind of genderless, I suppose. Will be in classes until late. Another couple hours at least. You briefly consider using the serendipitous solution to catch up on that project that you've been working on haphazardly for the past few months. Okay. Oh, there's already one crossed out. By the time you arrive home and change out of your uncomfortable work clothes, the stress is weighing you down on you like a heavy, wet wool blanket. Your computer seems to be staring you down from a desk. You want to sit down and work, but the mere thought of trying to work sends your stress levels flying. More than anything, you feel suddenly and absolutely exhausted. You feel a strong desire to simply hide in your bed. Now, okay, personally, I'm a big believer in vitamin D, okay? So I take quite a bit of vitamin D and vitamin C. Honestly, I think a lot of, when you're feeling completely exhausted, maybe you are, but a lot of the time there's some kind of thing missing from your diet. I mean, a lot of people take 4,000 IU of vitamin D. I kind of double that to 8,000. And yeah, honestly, since I started taking it, I feel like I've got so much more energy and I feel so much happier. Anyway, I digress. Order some food, grab a drink, and hunker down for the night of work. Okay. Reluctantly sit down at your desk and try to make yourself do something. No, that doesn't sound very good. If you don't feel like you want to do it, right, and you're not being forced to, I don't think that you really should, you should definitely want to do something. It's different with work because you have to do something, right? Turn on the TV, telling yourself you just need a quick half an hour to unwind from work. Crawl into bed. You're stressed and overwhelmed. You couldn't possibly accomplish anything anyways. So, I'm going to say, right, crawl into bed. As much as you like the idea of trying to get work done, the thought of the amount of catching up you have to do is instantly freezes you up. The longer you stare at the computer, the higher your stress levels rise, until you're on the verge of a full-blown panic attack. Honestly, guys, if you're in this kind of situation, like, get yourself a good night's sleep and get outside and get yourself some sunshine, right? If there isn't any sunshine, like I say, take vitamin D tablets, right? They're really cheap and effective. Anyway, so yeah, you've got 2 missed calls. You are very depressed. You spend a large amount of time sleeping, hating yourself, and have very little energy or motivation. You are not currently seeing a therapist. You're not currently taking medication for depression. Okay. I realise I'm skipping over some of this. I do apologise, guys. I'm kind of action-orientated. It's a mild Friday afternoon. Alex calls you from one of her classes telling you there's going to be a really awesome birthday party tonight at her apartment that one of her roommates is throwing. You're hanging out with this roommate a few times with Alex. You get along well enough, you can't blah blah blah. What do we do? She tries to convince you anyway. You've seen her this week, so she wants you to go to a party. Shake off your funk and go have a good time with your girlfriend. Agree to go. Say that you're really just not feeling well and can't make it. I think it's difficult, right? Because if there's a party, the thing is, you're never going to get that time back, right? This is the weird thing about life. When you're invited to something, if you don't go, you will lose a lot of potential social bonds that you form with people, you know? It's a lot of these little relationships that really, really matter. So in a way, going to a party, right, you have to see it almost like work. In a funny sort of way. Yeah, you're going to have a good time, hopefully. But, you know, just see it as an extension of work. It's a bit like in Japan, right? A lot of people go out after work for a few drinks, and it is a bit of a toxic culture, but it is something you really have to do if you want to get on in the company. So you just have to agree to go. You agree to go, even though you're really not feeling social. Yeah, that's fine, man. Just go there for like an hour, you know? Have a drink or something, you know, have some orange juice or whatever, if you're not feeling it. And, you know, chat to a few people, be polite, and then, you know, go home by 8 o'clock or something. You know, it's important to Alex, and you'd really like to see her. Seeing her does make you feel better sometimes, and you hope that this is the case. Though even if it does mean dealing with all the usual social anxiety. Again, I really feel sorry for people who have social anxiety. And okay, when I get anxious, I'm very, very, very lucky because some really good sunshine and some vitamins, and I'm feeling a lot better. And again, I think one of the things I did to deal with social anxiety, and this might sound crazy, is actually having a really good breakfast with some fat in it. Because when you have a good amount of fat in your body, it kind of enables your body to function better, to generate ketones, to basically power your body, and it does reduce anxiety. So a good breakfast, egg and bacon, whatever you want to eat. Add in some tomatoes if you want, mushrooms. That's just my personal recommendation. Get outside, get yourself some sunshine. And again, I'm probably in a blessed position because I don't suffer from extreme social anxiety. I mean, yeah, there's some days where I literally do not want to go outside because I'm too anxious. But, you know, I'm lucky that I can kind of get out of it. Anyway, the time to leave rolls around and you grab your overnight bag. Alex's apartment is a short walk away and there's already people hanging out on the porch. You feel your chest tighten as you approach the building and try to steel your nerves. Come on, take a big breath. You can do this. You quickly find your partner chatting away with the birthday girl, and Alex immediately lightens up when she sees you. I'm so happy you came. I wasn't sure if you were going to be able to make it. A young man taps her on the shoulder and she turns back to you to apologise and let you know that they have to do something for the party. Alec hands you a beer and plants a kiss on your cheek before going to deal with whatever came up. As you look around, you don't see anybody you recognise. Bit of a difficult situation here. What I generally find is just personal strategy here. Find someone, okay, and just kind of like, don't do it in a difficult way. I mean, just kind of like chat to them. You know, if there's someone, for example, and, you know, they're just kind of chatting, as long as it's kind of like you can judge the situation pretty well, you can generally kind of strike up a bit of a conversation like, oh, I don't really know that many people here. How do you know such and such a person? How are you feeling tonight? Oh my God, I really love that game. You know, a lot of these lines, I'm not the most social person in the world, but, you know, you can kind of get on a lot. You can do a lot of stuff. Like literally, I've been at a party and I don't know anybody, and by the end of it, I've actually made a few good friends, right? And I find just being kind of relaxed and chill. I know it's not easy, but it really does help. Anyway, awkwardly stand in the same spot, unsure what else to do. No, that's not a good thing to do, I would say. I would sort of say, go get yourself a nice drink, walk around a bit, you know, find yourself somewhere comfortable, right? A lot of how you look and how you feel, you know, are kind of inextricably linked, right? So if you're standing in the corner and you're feeling like super anxious, right? People can kind of see that you're kind of anxious in the corner. And if you find yourself a comfy sofa or something, at least you can have a nice sit down. And quite a lot of times, right, if you sit down, people actually approach you because you look like you're chill, you're just doing your own thing. You know, if there's food at the party, grab yourself something to eat, you know? Again, I think I can't stress this enough, right? Having some good food in your belly really gets rid of a lot of anxiety and stress. It really does. So put your bag in your Alex's room and avoid the crowd in there for a while. That's a bit of a weird one. Cling to the back wall, sip your beer and wait for your girlfriend to return. Proceed to drink in earnest, hoping it makes you less uncomfortable. Again, there's no good options here. The last one I kind of think is probably what I would do, but I would definitely find somewhere to sit down, you know. Just kind of get comfortable and just, okay, sounds weird, right? But body language is really important. Have open and honest body language. Don't be all like scrunched up, you know, kind of keep your arms apart, kind of show your belly, show that you're kind of like relaxed. And, you know, a lot of the time people will approach you, right? It really just works. But anyway. After Alex walks away, you're not sure what to do with yourself. Scanning the party for a familiar face yields nothing, and you're not sure where your girlfriend or the birthday girl has gone off to. You look at the beer in your hand. Again, beer's a bit of a depressant, so it's fine to have the occasional beer, but I would always go for orange juice or cranberry juice. If you want to go wild, cranberry juice with a little bit of vodka in, single shot of vodka is very, very nice. I don't know, something that's a bit fun. Because again, if you're already depressed, you really don't want to be taking a depressant. You want something which kind of lifts you up. Even, dare I say it, bad for your health, an energy drink or something. Again, I don't recommend them. They're not good for your health. But, you know, if you want to have an energy drink, you know, it might give you a bit of caffeine, bit of sugar. Might actually help you at the party. You never know. You know, you care a lot less about everything in general when tipsy, but you know you should avoid getting drunk and possibly emotional. You quickly down the beer, hoping that it will loosen you up a little bit. You down a few more as quickly as your stomach will let you handle the carbonation comfortably. This is not a good idea, guys. I've done this at parties, right? I believe it or not, I've been to quite a few parties. If you drink really, really rapidly, especially something like champagne, It won't end well, okay? Just pace yourself, right? And wait for it to take effect. By the time it does, Alex has already returned and is introducing you to people. However, all that drinking accomplished was making you feel even more tired and unfocused. Again, get yourself a nice Red Bull, mate. And you stick to your girlfriend for the rest of the night, staying fairly quiet in group conversations. Well, that sounds pretty good. I mean, staying quiet in group conversations is fine because at least you're there and at least you're kind of out and about and you're kind of vaguely socializing with people. Later that night, here's the thing, you don't have to force yourself to do anything, okay? You need to do whatever you feel comfortable with, right? I think this is really important generally. Later that night, as the two of you are both tipsy and dozing off, Alex cuddles up to you and lightly slurs, "I'm really glad you turned up tonight. To be honest, I really didn't think you'd show. It's really cool you did, really." She knows you know she meant it lovingly, but you're not quite sure how to feel about the statement. You are very depressed. You spend a large amount of time sleeping, hating yourself. Okay. It's a little afternoon on a muggy Saturday. Always a lot to read. I wonder what the red out and crossed out things are. Your mother has come over for a surprise visit, claiming loudly that she doesn't see you enough, so she decided to invite herself over. You know, you're actually quite a lucky person here. You know, you've got work, seemingly. You've got a girlfriend, you've got various relationships, people you know, you've got yourself a mother. So, you know, I would say this person's quite fortunate, right? You've got a lot of people who seem to care about you, which not everybody has. So already, I would say, okay, the person may be depressed, absolutely. As you converse, she walks around your place, and you get the distinct impression that you're being inspected. "What's going on with you lately?" she asks abruptly. Taken somewhat aback by this left fielder, you tell her you're not sure what she means. She repeats the question, saying that you haven't seemed like yourself lately. She gestures to the dirty dishes piled up in the sink and notes the fact that you haven't called or visited in a while. Well, this is really bad. You really should call your mum, man. Your reticence only seems to spur her on more. She presses you, asks if you're having problems at work or with Alex, and you're beginning to feel incredibly battered by her sudden well-meaning but overwhelming inquisition. Right, it's not really an inquisition, right? She's concerned about you. You've got your plates piling up, you're not looking after yourself particularly well, you're going out to crazy parties and you're drinking loads and you're not even socializing much, so okay, maybe that's my fault. Under her question, you become increasingly uncomfortable. You want to be able to explain to her how you've been feeling, but the truth is you're not really sure yourself. Nothing horrific has happened at work or with your significant other or anything like that, but all the same, you can't deny that lately you've just felt drained, as though you're not really here. Again, hate to repeat myself, get yourself some bloody vitamins, mate, right? Vitamin D. Really freaking helps, honestly. You wish you could tell your mother these things, but she hasn't been approachable about negative emotions in the past. Okay, well, if you can't talk to her about it, talk to somebody else, right? Not everybody has to have the same relationship, right? So anyway, let's skip on. Let her know that you've been feeling down lately and that you appreciate her concern. Try to be honest with her anyway. Tell her that everything is fine and that you thank her for asking. Change the subject. So we can't actually do one or two. Change the subject. Let's talk to someone else. Well, at least number 4 is more honest, right? Are you okay? It's a question you've been finding yourself being asked a lot lately, and it's one that has begun to make you increasingly uncomfortable. It's one you would have to spill your guts to adequately describe, which would be an almost impossible feat to perform at the moment. even if you managed to, you'd have to fight through your self-loathing long enough to keep talking, despite feeling that everything you're saying amounts to simple budging. I don't even know what that word is. That's rare. Belly aching. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I think I was overthinking it. Belly aching. Yeah, I know what that is. If somehow you powered through that, you'd live with something, you know, you don't feel good. You feel unease lingering. Okay, yeah. For lazy Sunday morning, you are idly clicking around online as your phone rings. Sam, a co-worker of yours, that you are friendly with, asks how you are and makes hurried small talk with you. You typically only ever talk to him on the phone when one of your needs a shift covered. Oh, okay, I'm just going to skip to the things. Sorry, I'm so lazy. Take the cat, knowing full well that you can take great care of it. Decline, even though you'd be totally capable of taking care of a cat. Become a cat owner. You could use for companionship. Decline. You're not in a good enough place to be taking on more responsibility right now. So cats are kind of therapeutic. I have a cat. I actually have a cat in my house and a cat living in the shed outside. I don't know where the cat living in the shed outside, you know, is from. I think she's pregnant, actually. Anyway, I digress. I stroked her once. For some reason, we started feeding the cat outside in the shed. So, yeah, I don't know if she's a stray or whatever, but she's living in the shed quite happily. Sorry. You become a cat owner. You could use a companionship. You can't help but feel like you've been guilt-tripped, but you decide to give it some serious consideration. It does get awfully lonely around your apartment, and it might feel less empty with a cat around. However, since you've been feeling down, it might not be a good idea to take on responsibility if they are fairly low maintenance. So do I want to get a cat? I think I'll just have to get a cat. And the reason is, cats are cute and fuzzy and they purr, right? And... okay, let's get a cat. Oh god, I hope nothing happens to the cat. You accept the offer of the kitten. I thought it was a cat. Okay. And hang up shortly after making arrangements for when your co-worker can drop her off tonight. After hanging up, you worry about if you've suddenly taken on a responsibility that you can't handle. You'll be fine. It'll be fine. She hides her carrier, periodically making sorrowful cat howls long enough for you to start worrying that she already doesn't like you. She's a cat. She as long as you feed her, it's fine. Oh. Cats can be quite judgmental, I think. Cats typically like me, so that's good. It's a late Friday afternoon, and quitting time is just around the corner. It's a bright, clear day, giving way to a still, temperate evening. You can hear your co-workers all around you, anxiously making plans for their evenings and weekends, but you're really looking forward to just going home and resting after what's turned out to be a very long and taxing work week. Okay. I'm in a weird situation right now because I don't actually work, and I kind of miss working, you know? But on the other hand, I've got a lot of freedom to, like, make videos about Depression Quest. And yeah, okay, so I don't have much money, right? And that sucks. And I am looking for a job. It's just, so difficult, man. I'm just not in a particularly good area for jobs, I don't think. And there's an awful lot of people looking for jobs as well, I think, in this area. I don't know. Just before the end of your shift, you get a call from Alex. It seems a group of your mutual friends are heading out to a nearby pub for dinner and drinks to celebrate something. Oh man, this is bad. You know, despite the bad times, your girlfriend sincerely loves you. Relationships are a two-way street, and you resolve to always be there for her, like she has been there for you. Tell Alex how important she is to you and enjoy your evening. Ask Alex if she's happy with your relationship. Don't say anything, you've already worried about her being upset with you. I should probably read this. While she does seem to enjoy spending time with you, as the two of you sit in uncomfortable, almost contented silence watching old shows you've seen before. Okay. Well, that sucks. Oh dear, we're Netflixing. Nice. Dude, I love the old logo. I miss the old Netflix logo. This is far from your first time you would have had this conversation with her. And it's one that plays out the same way every time. You explain your fears of being worthless. She tries to tell you that she doesn't see you that way. You insist that she is biased or being nice to you because she's your girlfriend, and she gets frustrated. It never resolves. Nothing new under the sun. Occasionally she tries to broaden the subject, and why you feel like this about yourself. This always makes you feel nervous. You're sometimes convinced the only reason she's still with you is because she doesn't know how awful you really are. Yeah, I don't know. This does resonate, to be fair. I think a lot of people have anxiety about showing people who they really are, because maybe they won't like you anymore. It's difficult, isn't it, really? I don't have an answer to this. As time goes on, you've gotten more comfortable trying to express bits and pieces of your insecurities to her, but it still causes you to feel very on guard. And it's not a conversation you can have for very long without worrying you're going to scare her away. Yeah, I know. That's a knowing thing. The weight of an unspoken, unresolved issue in your relationships joins you in the room for a while. Look, to be honest, maybe speaking to a counsellor about this would be a good idea. A lot of times, maybe you need a trained professional, you know? Someone who kind of has experience in this kind of thing. I suppose the model equivalent is chatting to ChatGPT, but obviously, or Claude, whatever you want. Or, you know, you should chat with your mum, to be honest. If you're feeling worthless, maybe there's things you can do to materially improve yourself. Again, cliched advice, but actually getting out more, going to the gym, you know, joining a club and stuff, it can really help sometimes, you know. And again, if you feel worthless, then you really have to address maybe the feeling is valid. Maybe you aren't living up to your full potential, you know. Maybe there's things that you can do which might actually improve your life. Maybe the depression is actually a kind of psychic pain, which is telling you that something is actually wrong and that you need to get out of yourself and find help. It's a breezy Sunday afternoon. You've allowed Amanda, an old friend from school, that is in town for a weekend, to talk to you into leaving the house for a coffee and catch up. Again, this person has got so many freaking friends, right? I'm envious. You meet her in a small cafe and talk about what you've been up to since you've last seen each other, and you can't help but feel like there are a lot more accomplished and interesting things to talk about than something after school. I can't read anymore, man. The screen's bright, I'm tired. Amanda knows you long enough to read your room and asks you what's wrong. Suggests a change of location and confide in her honestly. Test the waters and open up a little, hoping she'll understand. Insist that nothing is wrong and change the subject. Defensively ask what she means by that. Notice that your hands are shaking. Notice that your hands are shaking, man. I think it's really important to understand your body and what your body's trying to tell you. It's such a small question, but it feels like a blow to the gut. Again, you know, the problem with depression on a serious basis is normal people have positive and negative things happen to them, right? That is part of life. Everybody has positive and negatives, right? But when you are depressed, the negatives feel like they are double and the positives feel like they are half. So every negative thing feels so much more impactful on you and your mental health and how you're feeling. But that is a kind of distorted way of thinking, because there are going to be awful things that happen to you in life. You're going to lose people. Sometimes you just might feel awful for no particular reason. I think, especially with men, a lot of the time we don't really understand ourselves or what we're thinking or complex emotions. And personally, the only way I can really understand really complex emotions is by sleeping on it and really, you know, unwinding, getting rid of the stress, getting a good night's sleep, you know, kind of helps you. I even think dreams are kind of a way of the body and the brain trying to resolve trauma and trying to basically work out complicated things. It can take a lot of time to work these things out. I actually think, in addition to what I've already mentioned, things like getting outside, sunshine, vitamins, talking to people, meditation is a really good way of understanding yourself as well. It's not particularly hard to do. Some people struggle. Close your eyes, completely relax, and just focus on making your mind quiet. There will be bits and bobs going everywhere in your brain. Just focus slowly on bringing down the noise. Again, there's no winning or losing here. It's about the attempt more than anything. There's no desired outcome. You don't have to be the best at meditation. It's just about clearing your mind, listening to your breathing, completely relaxing your body. And you can actually reach a state where your body can turn off and your brain is liberated from your body, almost like your body goes into sleep mode, but your brain is hyperactive. And this, for me, unlocks a massive amount of brain power, which, again, I can kind of resolve issues with or think about life. And you can just achieve this through meditation, you know? Anyway, Amanda seems unsure of what to say at times, but she listens and rubs your back as you sob and talk. Crying is actually quite good. It is a release of emotion. She asks if you've gone to a doctor about this, and you admit that you haven't. She mentions that her mother is seeing a very good therapist in town and offers to ask her about it. You're not thrilled about the idea of going to see a therapist, and even less thrilled that Amanda might be telling someone about your problems, but she persists and tells you that she'll email you the doctor's contact information later in the week. So here's the thing, right? People do genuinely struggle, and there's nothing to be ashamed of if, you know, someone does struggle. There really, really isn't, right? Everybody has times in their life when things are really black and bleak and difficult, and it's hard to get through them. But I think the most important thing to note is things do get better. They really do, you know? It may not seem like it now, but things do get better in the future. And actually talking to a therapist and talking to friends can really help understand what the issue is and, you know, perhaps what the root cause of this might be. again, I think a lot of people get very depressed in the winter because, coming back to that whole thing, vitamin D deficiency and vitamin C deficiency as well can really, really, really lower your mood. And a lot of people get vitamin D deficiency during the winter, which again, I think explains why more people get depressed, especially around Christmas months. It's a glaringly sunny Monday, and one of a few days that your brother Malcolm is in town and free long enough for you to actually see each other. Oh my god, this person, I'm telling you, I am so freaking jealous of this person. They know more people than me and they're fictional. You have a dental appointment that day, but you make plans for him to pick you up afterwards. This person is so blessed, and I realise people can still be in a crowded room and feel alone, and anybody can feel depressed at any point, and you know, that's perfectly valid. And again, it could be your body trying to tell you something. Your appointment takes a little longer than expected because your dentist tells you that you've started grinding your teeth in your sleep to a worrying degree. Again, this is a bit of an issue here. Sounds like you've got chronic levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. Maybe you're not sleeping. So again, is the issue here chronic stress? Or is it depression? Or is it both? Could be chronic stress, right? You're being too hard on yourself. You're setting yourself goals which are impossible, and you're not really giving yourself enough credit, you know, for what you do get right. Given how nearly everything in your life has been feeling enormous and stressful lately, again, stress, really difficult. A lot of people really struggle with stress. This doesn't come as a surprise to you. He suggests that you try to reduce your stress levels and fit you with a night guard. It feels awkward and too big for your mouth, and you feel embarrassed looking at your puffed out face in the mirror. You finish up in the apartment, hurry, and leave about half an hour overdue for your always functional brother in the parking lot. So again, I'm going to skip down a little bit. I'm sorry. Feel free to go play this game yourself if you want to. So he asks, how did your appointment go? Did you get drilled full of holes or what? Lie. Tell him that it was a routine cleaning. Tell him about your tooth grinding problem, but not the stress causing it. The dentist says I'm apparently grinding my teeth too much when I sleep. Oh, Malcolm replies, been stressed out lately, kiddo. Well, yeah, it's important to be honest, right? It really is. Because a lot of the time people love and care about you. And you'd be amazed, a lot of people do, even if you don't see it sometimes. Deciding that you don't really want to go into it, you tell him that you don't think that it's the case and it's probably just a random thing. He doesn't pry further and instead begins reminiscing with you about the times you chipped a baby tooth because he accidentally knocked you over once. You go out to dinner and catch up on things. You're still somewhat distracted by the gnawing anxiety in the back of your mind. Oh man, I feel sorry for this person, honestly. I mean, anxiety is horrible. All I want to do when I'm anxious, right, is sit in my room and play some stupid computer game for the day, okay? And again, there's been really dark times, to be fair. To go on a bit of a personal story, I guess when I was a teenager, going to college, I was hyper stressed and anxious, and it was really difficult. I was working 7 days a week, so I was going to college for 4 days a week and working for the other 3 days. Why I was doing this, I don't know, but basically, it never really stopped. And to add insult to injury, and this is going to age me a little bit, I was actually playing Warcraft nearly every single night as well. So, you know, I have the trifecta really. I was working really hard at a job. I was studying at college. I was probably quite stressed about both of those things. My job was also quite physical, you know, I had to do a lot of physical work at the time. And to top it all up, I became severely sleep deprived because I was going to bed about 2 or 3 in the morning every day and waking up at 7 or 8 in the morning. And I did that for like a year before I kind of broke. That's not something I would recommend, by the way. It's not sustainable long term. But again, my issues were mostly environmental. And add on to that the fact that I was dealing with difficult personal stuff as well. And I wasn't really maintaining myself very well. I was showering and keeping clean, but my clothing wasn't always washed. So I felt very, very low and anxious about that. And the actual physical building that I was going to college in was really causing anxiety in me. I don't know why. It's really strange. But everybody there was about 17 years old, and I think a lot of 17, 18, 19-year-olds are kind of quite judgmental in a lot of ways. You know, if you don't look right, if you don't, you know, sort of join in with everybody, if you're late, for example, it becomes really shameful. And I kind of felt the building was made of glass. And every time I walked in there, I felt like everybody was like looking at me. And I'd go to class and I would probably be late into class. Sometimes I missed the class, for example. And I literally felt like everybody was kind of judging me, and it was horrible. But, you know, things got better. You know, I got through it, came out the other side, and I kind of look back and think to myself, well, look, I was about 16 at the time. I didn't really know what I was doing. I just left school and I wanted to go out and I wanted to work hard and I wanted to earn money and I wanted to go to college and all the rest of it. And I just kind of did too much, especially with Warcraft on top of everything else, which I enjoyed playing, and it was a kind of stress relief for me, but it made the situation worse because obviously playing Warcraft all night and working all day isn't really a good recipe. But anyway, it's a dry Sunday morning. You grab your morning coffee and scoot your rapidly growing kitten off the office chair and, despite a protest, sit down at your desk and check your email. A new message pops up in your inbox almost as soon as you do. It's from Amanda, and you remember your meeting in the cafe and awkwardly bring up your feelings to her. Subject: hey buddy. Body: hi. Sorry, it's been a few weeks. I mean to get this to you sooner, but it took a while for me to get hold of my folks back home. Dad told me to say hi, by the way. Anyway, I remember what we were talking about last time I saw you, and hope you weren't too insulted, but I asked my mum for the number of a therapist. Okay. So what do? Call the therapist number. You're looking forward to the help you think they can offer. Try your luck and call the number, even though the mere thought of talking to someone makes you anxious. Sleep on it and see how you feel in the morning. You're not keen on the idea at all, but you don't want to disappoint Amanda. Close the email without thinking more of it. This has been embarrassing enough for you. I would say always sleep on it. I already said earlier in the video that sleeping is a really good way to process complicated feelings, complicated ideas. And I stand by that. I do. The thought of picking up the phone and calling someone about this right now is overwhelming. Sure, you're having a hard time lately and have motivational issues, but are you really in need of therapy? To be fair, I think therapy is less stigmatized in the United States than it is here. I saw a therapist once in my life, and I literally walked in there and had about a 5-minute conversation and said I feel so much better now, and kind of left. And that was that. I don't think they even recorded it as a therapy session, but other than that, I've never had any kind of therapy or anything like that. I do wonder about it sometimes. But then again, I do chat to Claude and ChatGPT, and they're not people. They don't care whether I live or die, I know. But they are kind of quite rational simulacrums of people, you know, in a funny sort of way. I often find ChatGPT is quite kind to me. Claude, interestingly, the chatbot, if you haven't used it before, it's a chatbot like ChatGPT. Claude can be really harsh sometimes. And sometimes I've admitted stuff to Claude which I've been embarrassed about. And I'm thinking, why am I embarrassed talking to this chatbot? Because we have a habit of like anthropomorphizing machines and non-human things. It really told me off a few times. It told me that maybe I'm not a bad person, but that I've done bad things. Anyway, the next morning, you check your email again with blurry eyes and a mewing kitten. Amanda's email is still there, seemingly waiting for you. You are no more decided than what you were yesterday. Call after wrestling with it for a few minutes longer. Don't call. This is way too much for you to be able to deal with right now. Just give it a call, man. You read through Amanda's email 2 or 3 times. Sit back and stare at the computer for a while. Whilst the memory of that uncomfortable conversation makes you feel embarrassed and self-conscious. Oh, it shouldn't. Some people need help sometimes. Part of you is also encouraged by the fact that she cared enough to get back to you at all. Sitting in front of your computer, you start to question things like whether or not Amanda sent you this number out of pity, or perhaps some sense of obligation after having listened to you. I wouldn't say it was necessarily pity. I think she's just trying to help you. You know, I think she's being genuine here. You question her motives and the validity of her concern, and whether or not you think seeing a therapist would even be helpful. Well, it is helpful because the person here has already stated that they struggle to talk to their mum and they struggle to talk to their partner, and, you know, clearly they have stuff to talk about. So talking to a sort of trained professional who can kind of lend you their ear for some coin might be a good idea, you know? Yeah, almost unconsciously, you reach for your phone, and before you realise what's happening, you're listening to the therapist line ringing. Before you bring yourself to hang up, you're listening to the slightly clinical but not unpleasant receptionist asking how she can help you. I'd like to make an appointment with the doctor. You managed to stutter out. The conversation is quick and not nearly as unpleasant as you feared. The quicker you can say Freudian slip, you've scheduled an appointment. Quicker than you realise, appointment day rolls around. What do you do? Go to the therapist's office. Head to the therapist's office even though you're totally unsure of what to expect. Sit in your car terrified and try to talk yourself into or out of going. Just the thought of going to the appointment ties your stomach in knots. You crawl back into bed. So what I think this is actually doing is it's kind of scoring you, and if you get too anxious, basically the best outcomes kind of vanish. Head to the therapist's office. You have your first session with your new therapist, Dr. Susan Melfield, a tall woman in her mid-40s with a disarming demure and patient eyes with smile lines. She sounds nice. As you leave, you make a second appointment. You're still skeptical about this. You're emotionally exhausted when you get home and collapse into bed. Fair enough. It's early on Wednesday morning. Lately, you've developed a nasty habit of waking up 10 to 20 minutes before your alarm rings. I literally do that too. And unfortunately, today is no exception. You lay in bed, each minute ticking closer and closer to the wake-up time, and passing on swelling waves of ever-encroaching dread. That doesn't sound too good. Honestly, I think in this situation, and considering what I've kind of said during this, I think a lot of the time the best thing to do is, if you're super anxious about this, is maybe your body is telling you that you're not actually handling life particularly well. Maybe you need to change your life somehow. And I get a lot of people can't, which I guess is part of the depression, really. But again, if you're waking up with feelings of dread, what exactly are you dreading? What is it about you that you don't like? Ask yourself these questions. I once had a job and I hated this job. I'm not even making this up. I hated the job. I hated the people I worked with. They were loud and rude, and they, no offense to them, they're not bad people in themselves. I just didn't enjoy the job. They kind of throw things at me. The boss didn't like me particularly. I mean, he employed me, I guess, to do the job, but I always felt like he was belittling sometimes, and he would literally come in sometimes. When something went wrong, he would come in and he would yell for like an hour, full on yelling at the staff. And like the staff were just kind of taking it. They didn't care. They were guys. They were sort of pretty nonchalant about things. But I guess that's just his management style. But I just put on my headphones, even though I weren't allowed to listen to music. And I just put on my headphones just so I wouldn't have to listen to him yelling. And the building was kind of embarrassing. It was quite a long way away from my house, and it was kind of falling down. It was slightly dilapidated. And previous to that job, I had worked at Microsoft, and this felt like such a bloody come down from Microsoft, you know, a building that's falling to bits, in a job where I don't really feel like I'm appreciated at all. And again, the person who had done the job previously had been there for like 20 years, and they like left for whatever reason, so I was kind of stepping into their shoes. And yeah, after about 6, 7, 8 weeks of being there, I can't remember how long it was, but it was too long for me. There was a time when they gave me a massive contract, and I started reading through the contract, and the guy had boasted about how he was a rich American kid, okay? And I'm not going to get too personal or anything, but he boasted all the time about how he had lawyers and how he was trying to sue people. And I just read this contract, this massive contract, and I just kind of thought, well, I don't really want to sign this. So I sort of said, oh, thanks, I'll take it away and I'll sign it at home. And I was actually fired the same day. I almost feel like they tried to get me to sign the contract to kind of trap me in some way. But yeah, really bad work environment. And some days I would just wake up with a sort of feeling of dread. Oh my God, I've got to go back to this awful place that I hate today. Again, I like some of the people. We did go out a few times. We went out, had a Christmas party, and it was lovely. And we went on a few sort of staff outings, but overall, I really struggled, you know, so I can kind of empathize with what's going on here. I know I'm skipping, but fair enough. Hop out of bed and start getting ready for work. You'll be late, but it's better for not going in at all. So it sounds like the person is really struggling today. Head into work. At least you can leave early if it gets too unbearable. Call your boss and tell him you're sick and won't be in today. Oh my God. You know, this is causing me issues, seriously. I don't want to admit this, but I started a new job about 3 months ago. And it was at a school, and it was not an appropriate job for me. I went into this school, and it was a school for kids with severe learning difficulties. And it was okay. The first day was stressful, as things always are. The problem was this was set up as an apprenticeship, a 16-month apprenticeship, and in the UK you can pay someone about £6 an hour to do an apprenticeship, which is about half the national minimum wage. And I'm a guy in his sort of mid to late 30s, right? The fact that I even considered this was completely barking mad. But anyway, I went in and I struggled. A lot of the kids were yelling and screaming, and they were lovely though. I thought they were so sweet and nice, a lot of the kids, but I struggle with loud noises, especially random loud noises, and I found the whole thing really overwhelming. And I don't know, sometimes things got a bit physical, as in, like, you know, the kids would sort of grab me or push me or whatever, and I guess I didn't enjoy that, and I struggled to really understand what the heck the kids were doing. For example, I went into the kitchen, and one of the students, who is apparently allowed to go wherever she likes, came in. I didn't sign an NDA or anything like that. One of the students came in and started taking knives out of a drawer, and I didn't know what to do. Do I tell her not to? I mean, you might say, yes, of course you should. But then again, the previous day, they had been making food, and, you know, someone had been getting all the knives and stuff out of a drawer and forks and things to sort of make the food with. So again, I just kind of ignored it. But again, I just found it stressful. And I was meant to be doing training, so they didn't have a computer room. There were literally no computers in the area, so I had to do my training on my mobile phone, and they wanted me to produce a document, which is kind of difficult when you only have a phone and you're in a meeting and they want you to simultaneously produce a document on your phone. So I had to get ChatGPT to produce the document for me, because there's no way I can load up Google Docs and start typing on my phone whilst I'm in a Zoom meeting on my phone. And one of the students was sort of coming in all the time and sort of sitting next to me and kind of seeing what I was doing. And I just, again, found that stressful. Somebody came in and took the student away. When it was my lunchtime, I went into a room and I ate my cheese sandwich. And again, more students were sort of coming in and looking at me and peeping through the windows. And probably sounds really dumb, but I just find that kind of situation quite stressful. Another time, and again, I doubt many people are going to listen to this, there was a student who appeared to be much, much, much older than 16. But again, I can't confirm or deny that. And the students had very bad emotional issues, got up, started not being violent, but making very violent body movements, flailing their arms around. And, you know, this was a big guy. Again, apparently they're 15 or 16 years old, but if I saw them on the street, I would say they're about 25 years old. Anyway, nobody really knew how to deal with this, because this guy was being quite violent. And I was only there for 3 days. And after 3 days, I genuinely felt unbelievably sick. I'd started a new job. I didn't have any training whatsoever. There was no support for me. I'd filled in an enormous amount of paperwork, sort of around my working hours. And I just thought, this isn't a fun little job. This is just something I'm going to be locked into. And I kind of left. I wrote a very nice letter to the head teacher of the school, sort of saying I was unbelievably polite and professional, and I just literally explained, you know, the situation as best I could. And, you know, they luckily managed to get me out of everything I'd been signed up to, and it was fine. I don't know why I'm talking about all this, guys. Maybe it's for music. Head into work. At least you can leave early if it gets too unbearable. I'm just going to tell them that I'm sick, to be honest, and go in fresh tomorrow. In spite of the fact that you knew that it's your job, and that you should go, you keep fighting yourself every step of the way. Every time you resolve to climb out of bed and just go, your body seems to get heavier. So we haven't gone in, guys. Literally, if I'm feeling like this, the last thing I need to do is to force myself to do something that I don't want to do. That's going to cause stress, and I really don't need any extra stress at this point. I know a lot of people would say that's a bad attitude, but you know, it's my life. When you wake up the next morning, short of feeling well rested, you actually feel more stressed out. Whilst it was definitely nice to get a break from work, you're now faced with a new problem that you hadn't considered before. You still have to go to work today. Whilst you aren't having the same problems physically getting out of bed you were yesterday, the prospect of having to face your boss after missing a day of work does not seem appealing in the slightest. Well, you know, my boss typically will be an employee too of the company. Even if they're the sort of CEO, they're still employed by the shareholders, and people get sick. So I just rationalise this by saying, I wasn't feeling up to it. I'm sorry. I'll try to do better in the future. Whatever. You worry that your absence won't be seen or believed as legitimate. I don't particularly care what other people think, personally. I'm dealing with my stuff the best I can deal with it, and I don't have to care what they think. Ultimately, it's just a job. If you lose your job, there will be other jobs that come after. And again, maybe that's a bad attitude to have, but they are employing me to provide a service to the best of my ability, and if I don't feel I can provide that service, well, it's on them, isn't it? And this is, in a sense, a sort of protection mechanism, because I'm saying I'm doing my best, and if that's not good enough, that's not my issue, really. Ugh. It's 2 a.m. on a Sunday, and you have work in the morning. Sounds like this person needs to quit their job, to be honest. You roll over and see the sickly green glow of the time displayed on your LED alarm clock. Why do you have an LED alarm clock? Your bedroom should be dark as possible. I don't like any flashing lights in my room. And let out an exacerbated sigh. You've been trying to fall asleep for over 3 hours now, to no avail. Quick tip, guys. If you can't fall asleep, get up and do something. Go get some popcorn or something. I like popcorn. And just watch an old episode of My Little Pony, or whatever your little silly comfort show is. I personally like old cartoons. I quite like Star Trek occasionally. Get up and, you know, go back to bed a bit later. Also, okay, just on a personal note, right? Humans sleep in cycles. Sleep isn't just one continuous thing. We go through sleep cycles. Read about this if you have issues sleeping. Get yourself like a blood test, okay? Check for your magnesium levels, like you say, vitamin D levels. Check all of these things, because a lot of the time there is a sort of chemical cause to a lot of issues. You have been awake for work in a mere 8 hours. Oh, you have to be awake for work in a mere 8 hours, and you know your performance has been sagging lately, and that this won't help the situation one bit. What do? Force yourself to sleep. Go to bed. It shouldn't be that hard. Just close your eyes and let it happen. Snap out of it. What is wrong with you? You're probably going to into work tomorrow exhausted. Go to your computer. Sleep is clearly not happening, no matter how long you lay here. This is good advice. You get out of bed, you're messaging, you're up late again, I see. Yeah, I can't sleep again. Thinking too much again. You guessed it, want to talk about it. You end up talking with Attic for some time. I don't want to be the guy who thinks they can diagnose something because I read a Wikipedia article, but it kind of sounds like you might have depression. you should talk to someone about that, like a doctor. You pause. Are you really that transparent? Again, sometimes if someone is depressed, like telling them that they're depressed, I don't think really helps. I think they already know. We can do some research and see if there's a good doctor near you. It's not like you're going to have to sleep anytime soon anyway. Oh, might as well do something whilst you're awake. This is just a low light. I'm normally able to sleep and don't have depression, but thank you for your concern. No, that's okay. Actually, I have talked to someone about it. Yeah, man, just be honest. Okay. I'm glad you're taking that step. I've heard it's not an easy one. I know people kind of suck at understanding this sort of stuff sometimes. But there's nothing wrong with having depression. Yeah, no, there is nothing wrong with it. You wouldn't be ashamed if you had bronchitis or something. So there's no reason to be ashamed if your brain's sick. You spend a few more minutes talking with Attic about your therapy and how you're feeling about it. He's very supportive. Well, that's nice. You with confidence that understands your illness yeah. A little while later, you fall back to bed. Getting into, you find it easier to drift off to sleep. Even in therapy, you know you're still going to have nights like these sometimes. It's good to know you have a friend who can sort of help you out. It's a chilly Thursday night. So this person, right, they've gone through about 10 different friends, right? This is amazing. Honestly, most people don't have this level of support. One of the longest days you faced in recent memory. Even though nothing exceptional has happened, a ton of minor things are going wrong, and co-workers have tried your patience throughout the day. You considered leaving work early, but you've already had enough absences lately. Didn't want to risk it. You're losing it through the commute home, and feelings of frustration both with your life and the world around you build as you run into minor annoyances, like someone bumping into you really hard as they walk by. By the time you get home, you're exhausted, and remember that these feelings were once identified as negative feedback loop with your therapist. These pent-up feelings aren't dying down, and you are eating at you. And are eating at you. I apologise. I am completely dyslexic tonight. You open your front door and stare at the apartment. An overwhelming feeling of exhaustion overcomes you. And you feel like your energy levels are low enough that you'll likely settle into a single activity tonight. What do? Reach out to someone close by. Don't burden anybody with your problems. Reach out to someone. Give them a call. I always like to phone someone. Your head feels too noisy and you need to trade it for some actual conversation. Your therapist did say that it was important to reach out to support network. So this might sound really weird, but if you sort of phone someone and say, oh, I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling miserable, let me talk about my misery, that is actually not very pro-social in a funny sort of way. You kind of have to say, well, I'm calling because I really, I kind of miss talking with you and I wondered how you were doing. How was your day? Make the effort, and you might actually find yourself getting into the conversation a lot more. Sometimes I think feeding your depression or your perception of depression can be quite difficult. Quite counterproductive. Alex, she's your girlfriend. I think we burdened her enough for all this. Malcolm, he's family and fun to talk to. Don't know, man. I'm gonna go with Malcolm. You reach for the phone to call your brother Malcolm, a member of family who you feel has always understood you best. He's always looked out for you when you were kids, and although you don't see each other much anymore, you still stay close with him. You could even phone both of these people if you really wanted to. The phone rings 3 times before his wife Karen picks up, and she tells you he's away on business right now. You read out his cell phone, and it goes straight to voicemail. Feeling defeated, you hang up and lay in bed. Thoughts gnawing at you as you do. You feel selfish for trying to reach out to him whilst he's busy in the first place. He's always so busy and an important person, to so many people, yourself. I can't read. Your thoughts are interrupted by your phone ringing next to you. It's Malcolm. Hey kiddo, I'm sorry I missed your call. I was in a tunnel on the way back to my hotel. How's it going? He enthusiastically greets you. Through a series of exchanges between you two, you end up actually opening up to your brother about your condition and how you're dealing with it. To your surprise, he's known for a while, but was unsure how to approach you. He wanted to give you space to figure it out and didn't want to put more stress on you. The two of you talk on the phone for a long time. Excellent listener, very good skills. He tells you a joke. He reminds you that you can call him anytime to let off some steam. Sounds like quite a productive phone call. You say goodbye, even though that sort of ended. You've ended up in tears a few times in explaining things. The whole conversation had done a lot to get you in a better headspace. So the reason I kind of chose Malcolm there is I think, so this sounds kind of weird. When you're in a relationship with someone, right, you want to have mostly positive encounters with them. And if most of your encounters with the person become negative, that's not a particularly good relationship. And it's good to be open and honest with, your partner. But sometimes you really have to not expect your partner to do everything for you, right? So it sounds like we did good with Malcolm anyway. God, how long is this game? I'm not being funny. It is an utterly nondescript Wednesday afternoon. The type of afternoon that would be completely fade from your memories. It's routine. You go see Dr. Melinda's office. To your mild surprise, this session, she's breaking up your characteristic therapist silence and begin speaking straight away. Okay, sorry, I'm going to read this properly now. I wanted to start by saying I think it's great that you've decided to come to me. It's an incredibly important first step, she begins. I wanted to take some time today to talk to you about the possibility of supplementing or sustaining your treatment with medication. The mention of medication makes your ears perk up and you feel your heart race. She continues, many people find adding a pharmacological element to their treatment to be very useful, and some even prefer to take pharmacological products, completely eliminating their need to visit a therapist at all, providing you rely on your support network and are still reaching out to people. I would prefer it if you kept talking, should you choose to start medication, so that I can monitor your progress and adjust as needed, but the choice is ultimately yours. I just wanted to run the option by you to gauge what your thoughts might be. I have really, really, really mixed feelings about medication. So, some medications, right, are beneficial. Some of them, perhaps not so beneficial. Some of them have side effects. Some of them are addictive. Some of the older serotonin inhibitors, for example, or dopamine inhibitors, can have really bad side effects. But then again, I'm sure there are some medications which might be really beneficial. But again, this is a very, very personal thing. I would look up the side effects of any kind of intervention, and I would be very, very careful about what I took. Personally, this is not medical advice or any kind of advice, generally speaking. It's just something you have to be so freaking careful about. And also, you can't just trust a therapist to actually know what might be right for you, because everybody's different. What I would personally do is go get yourself sort of full spectrum blood tests, okay? If you can. And find out if you are deficient in any kind of mineral or whatever. Because a lot of the time, if you are deficient in various minerals or any kind of thing in your diet, that can be a cause of depression, like I already said about vitamin D, for example, or vitamin C. But yeah, I would be very, very careful. I'm literally running out of steam. I just looked up, and apparently the game takes about an hour to complete. God, I am so slow. I do apologise, but I think I've been putting a lot of personal anecdotes in here as well. So, okay. Accept a prescription as a way to augment your therapy. Tell her that you'd like to try drugs instead of therapy. These weekly sessions have always made you more than a little uncomfortable. The thought of messing with your brain chemicals makes you uneasy. You'll stick with the therapy. This whole therapy thing has always been overwhelming to you, and this is the final straw. You're done with both. I'm not against pharmacology, but you just have to really, really, know what you're doing with it. This might sound strange, okay? Dr. Jordan Peterson, right? Famous psychologist, went through some difficult stuff in his life. Whether you like him or not, it's irrelevant. And he got very, very addicted to drugs which were meant to help him, therapy drugs. And this was extremely bad for him. He almost died getting off them. He found it unbelievably difficult to detox from some of these drugs. But then again, there are sort of drugs which have been extremely beneficial to people as well. And maybe they help you get through a difficult time. I heard about another person, and I kind of already mentioned this. My psychology teacher was telling me about this person. So he went to therapy because he had depression, and they basically put him, this was years ago, but they put him on a drug which completely stopped his dopamine or messed up his dopamine. I don't exactly know what that was, but he ended up being unable to really control his body very well. He was sweating, he gained weight. This was really, really bad. And again, I know that there are probably more targeted drugs now, but personally, unless I really needed them, I think just sticking with the therapy is the best thing. Though it's a very personal choice. And again, I have to reiterate, this is not medical advice. This is just my opinion. This is just how I personally feel. The mere mention of medication makes you stiffen uneasily. It was hard enough for you to work for nerve, coming to therapy, but the thought of introducing drugs into the equation, literally to water your chemicals, freaks you out. You feel somewhat honor bound to Amanda to keep up with your therapy, but you draw the line at ingesting any sort of chemical that you can't buy at the liquor store. Get yourself a full blood work out, man. See if there's any deficiencies. It's Wednesday evening and you're visiting your parents' house for a holiday. It's one of a handful of times during the year. I'm just gonna skip ahead. I'm really sorry, guys. I just can't take this anymore. Tell them about the exciting new job you're gunning for. Tell them what they want to hear, that you're actively looking for a more prestigious position. Admit that you don't know what you want to do. Excuse yourself to the bathroom. Number 3. I'm sorry. I can't take it anymore. Suggest you do something else instead. Tell her you're in the mood. Should I just pause and come back to this? It's a rainy night. You are hurrying through the rain to Alex's apartment at her behest. Your pace is quickening. The rain is steadily soaking you up to your pant legs as you traverse the town, and it's darkening already. You're in a poor mood. You call dealing with abnormally frustrating people. You spent most of the afternoon unwinding, getting work done on your project. Alex calls and interrupts you, saying, try to make progress. Gets frustrated if not making any progress. Have a harder time making progress due to frustration. Repeat loops. You appreciate... Oh, why didn't you come in and warm up? She asks in her designated, slightly cheesy, sexy voice. After a beat of silence, she states more naturally, my roommates are out for the weekend, so I thought it might be nice to have a little fun while they're away. You appreciate her affection, but you're too wrapped up in your own negative feedback loops to be in the mood right now. Suggest you do something else. Oh man, this is really bad. 1 and 2 are blacked out. You look at her standing. Barely lit, and notice there's a few candles scattered around the apartment. Oh, she's going to do a lot of effort. Come on. It occurs to you that she's trying to make this nice special for both of you. You decide to put aside your bad mood and simply be with her, even though you have had a tight knot of antisocial frustration in your stomach. Seeing how much she cares takes the edge off your bad day. You approach her and hold her. This is wonderful, thank you for doing all this, you tell her, kissing her on the forearm. I had such a bad day, and seeing how you take care of me like this makes me feel a lot less heavy. She smiles at you, and the two of you kiss. Is there any way we can just talk tonight, though? I'm exhausted and I really just want to be near you. Oh, she responds. She thinks for a brief second, as though she's evaluating if you had meant anything more than that. Sure, yeah, that works. The two of you cuddle on the couch and talk. This is a good outcome. You end up ranting about your job a little, and she commiserates with you and relates similar stories about terrible professor she had, regardless of the fact that you don't have intimate relations. You still feel as though it was a very romantic experience. That's nice. That's nice. That's a good evening, right? You don't feel like you want to do anything more. Just be with someone, hold them, hug them. Yeah. I don't see an issue. It's an early winter evening, and even though it's not particularly late, it's the time of year where the sky gets dark prematurely, day after day, just like today. You come home and you feel increasing amounts of hate. On this day, your job misery seems to have reached critical mass, and not even shedding your rain-laden and uncomfortable work clothes helps you unwind from your workday. You collapse into the couch, blank and numb, whilst your job always seems to just be an unpleasant reality of existence. It was a position you sort of fell into unexpectedly, never intending to work there long term, and it's just getting harder and harder to keep it up. Sounds like this guy doesn't really like his job. Oh man. I kind of like, again, coming back to my own experience, when I was going to that college, it was actually the college and the environment I was in which was causing a lot of my anxiety, the exhaustion. It was a combination of all of it. I don't know if this person really has severe depression in and of itself, or whether they are just basically in a life they're not really enjoying, you know? I mean, there have been people throughout history who have had horrible lives, you know? And they might say that they're depressed, but ultimately, if you're in a horrible situation, it is probably the horrible situation causing the misery as much as it is the depression. And the two are not the same, right? Anyway, whilst it's certainly not your dream job, you've always just kind of stuck it out of necessity before, but it's becoming increasingly to do that, though you couldn't even begin to imagine what else you could do. You find yourself face to face with the question that you just can't ignore. Is your complacency worth this level of misery? Get proactive, polish off your resume and start looking for other jobs and sending feelers out. That's probably the best thing to do. Try and at least be proactive by focusing your efforts on your project tonight. I'm not entirely sure what the project is. Aimlessly look through classifieds for another job. Turn on the TV and let your mind go blank. So it almost sounds like to me that the project is kind of being used as false hope. I mean, maybe the project is amazing and it'll bring great success. Maybe not. You could look through the classifieds, I suppose. Again, this is difficult because it all depends how, time dependent the project is. If it's something that you can just do, like, for example, I recently published a book. My book had no start date or end date. It got published and done when I did it, basically. The other things might be time dependent, you know. Again, number one seems to be the best choice, and they seem to get worse. Don't know, man. You bring up your computer and navigate to the local Craigslist. You search through the jobs. You email your resume to a few positions. Despite that, you click on the section, scroll through postings. You daydream about actually holding a position where you would get to do something more meaningful. Despite feeling completely intimidated by the requirements, you find a listing that you actually want to apply for. You spend an hour crafting a really personal cover letter and sending it off. You're rather convinced you'll never hear back. Sometimes you do, though. It's a little past 8 p.m. on Tuesday night. You're at your computer, frustration level peaks, rubbing your eyes heavily. You're working on a project for your job as you stretched to your wit's end, trying to meet a looming deadline. And as it looks closer, you seriously are doubting your ability to get it done. You're dragging your feet a little. You slide your hand off your face to look at the screen and it beeps. Hey, are you there? I really need to talk to somebody about something. You feel like you're getting nowhere with your current task and could probably use a break. However, you know that you have a history of getting distracted and losing motivation. Answer Attic. Of course we're going to answer. He's my friend, right? You're feeling like you hit a brick wall on your task. Take a break. Hey, what's up? Oh, good. You're there. I just found out I got cheated on. I don't know what to do. Oh, no, that's horrible. See, thank goodness I stopped my task. Two of you talk for a long time, and you lend a shoulder to your friend. You give him space to rant, cry, and more importantly, listen to his voice and inner turmoil. To be fair, right, he did actually listen to you talk, right? about your issues. So it's actually quite nice that you're talking to him or letting him talk to you about his, you know. You give him your full attention, take him through his options and what he does next. You keep him from doing something rash, and the two of you decide it's best for him to sleep before doing anything else. Exhausted, he departs to bed and thanks you for being there to talk to him. Again, I'm always going to talk to somebody. If anybody ever needs me, I'm going to be there as much as I possibly can. As you close the IM window, you feel horribly sorry for your friend, but you're happy that you were able to help him. It's nice that you're being useful for somebody else and helping with their needs. You put up your work project and find out you're suddenly able to get some solid progress done. That's great. You've helped your friend, you've made progress on your project. It's yet another sleepless Thursday night. You're at Alex's apartment, wide awake in bed, and she's sleeping peacefully beside you. She fell asleep hours ago, and you've been laying there unable to stop your brain from making noises. You've got the feeling of insecurity keeping you up. It was kind of a tense night between you two. You arrived after a stressful day at work, and as you made dinner together, you barely said a word. You were stuck in your own head, and it was kind of difficult. You lay next to her now. You trace fingers across her arm slightly enough to not wake her. You still haven't explained your depression to her, or how you started seeing a therapist, and it's something. Tell her about the situation. Definitely worth talking to her, right? You feel like a jerk for actually waking her up, but you're afraid to put that off any longer. You won't find the strength to tell her everything later. No, actually, everything isn't okay. Can I tell you something important? Alex sits up, rubs sleep out of her eyes. For the rest of the night, you lay side by side, holding hands. You tell her everything. You tell her how it's more than just a feeling of sad sometimes, how you feel trapped in your own mind sometimes, but sometimes you feel nothing at all, how you can't shake it off. You tell her how you've started going to therapy, how you feel embarrassed about it, how it's working out for you. She listens the entire time, occasionally asking questions about how this or that works, or asking you to explain something further. She squeezes your hand and tells you she understands, and she's sad that you didn't tell her sooner. After laying silent for a moment, the weight of what you did hits you. You desperately want her to say something, to tell you how she's feeling about the whole thing, but you're too afraid of what the answer might be. You start to convince yourself that now she knows everything, she's going to leave. There's no way someone can deal with you. So how can I help? What do you need me to do? She asks. You look for a second and the answer fills you with despair. I honestly don't know. I wish I knew how to fix this. I don't know what I can do to help. I think it's something I just have to live with. She looks at you with sad eyes before kissing you on the forehead. Then I'll live with it with you. Oh, that's really sweet. I don't know how you could possibly love me. She rolls back over and wraps her arm around your neck, setting her head on top of yours. You don't need to. Just know that I do. That's really sweet. You know, I think when someone really loves you, sometimes they're willing to put up with some things like that, you know? Kind of makes me sad, you know, that people have to live with our imperfections, especially when you have so many imperfections. I'm just speaking from, you know, my own personal thing, but oh man. It's Friday night, and you're laying across your bed feeling pathetic. As you were leaving work tonight, a group of co-workers asked you if you wanted to join them for drinks. Feeling antisocial and put on the spot, you declined. You have a habit of doing that. You're often so convinced that you are weird and terrible, and that any interaction you do will be disappointing. you never feel like you know group outings. You feel like a creep. This is a horrible feeling. I'm not being funny, but one of the narratives I find absolutely disgusting in society is the narrative that guys are creepy. Now, maybe some guys kind of are creepy, but I think it's probably better to say that some guys struggle to interact with other people in society. I'll give you this example, okay? So I went to this social event, and there was this kind of strange guy, and he wore this really terrible jumper. I think he had Thomas the Tank on it or something, and he really struggled, right? And I had two options. I could say to myself, that's a creepy guy. But I find that to be quite disgusting, personally. So what I did, I went out of my way to talk to him and to be nice to him and to try to form a bit of a friendship with him. And, you know, he really appreciated it. He really appreciated the fact that I was friendly with him, and I tried to kind of form a bit of a friendship, you know? This idea that there are just some creepy guys out there, it's kind of like a psychological torture, because it makes some guys really question themselves. Am I being a bad guy? Am I being creepy? Am I being awful? I don't know if you guys remember, there was this old Gillette advert a while ago, and this guy's going to go over and talk to a woman, and another guy comes up and says, "No, bro, you don't talk to that woman over there, because that's bad to talk to a woman." And how many sad, anxious guys who don't really have any experience are going to be put off from going out and talking to someone because they think that they're going to be perceived as creepy or weird, when in actual reality they are a sweet guy who's very sensitive and probably very anxious and inexperienced with social situations. And this kind of insinuation that they might be a bad person, or you shouldn't ever talk to women, or whatever. Or men, you know, you can talk to a man you like, hypothetically. I just think it's absolutely trash. I think you should be friendly to everybody as much as possible. And yeah, keep yourself safe and stuff. I just don't like the whole narrative, you know. Anyway, I do apologise for my rants. I don't know. Let's see what you're getting with the video. This was meant to be like a fun video to do and everything, and it's sort of turned into a sort of personal exploration of my flaws. Okay. As if you were leaving work, we've read that stuff. See if Attic is online. Oh, you try your physical strategy and boot up Netflix and distract yourself from these feelings. The frustration with yourself builds. Again, I don't know, man. If you feel that you're an awful person, you have to really wonder why. Because most people really try their best, and that's all anybody can actually do. Nobody controls where they're born, or what their genetics is, or how their brain developed in the womb, or the stuff that happens to you in everyday life, or, you know, your intelligence level, or how attractive you are, or how talented you are in particular directions. All of this is basically random stat generator stuff. You might have some influence over some of it, but that influence is actually tiny. So if you aren't living up to these amazing standards, maybe just be kind to yourself and just acknowledge the fact that you do the best with what you have, okay? See if Attic is online. Get over it and go to a bar with your co-workers. Call Alex. Drink. No, definitely not. Again, alcohol's a depressive. Go out somewhere alone. Play with your cat. Again, is sitting in front of a computer really a good idea? I'll call Alex. You dial Alex's phone number. Spend some time with her instead of being cooped up in your apartment all alone. Her phone rings a bunch of times and it goes to voicemail. You know it's not uncommon for her to be out with friends at this hour. You leave voicemail, but end up calling again 15 minutes later, still no response. You imagine Alex out with her friends, much like you would be tonight if you weren't such a horrible person at socializing. Your mind wanders and you start to wonder who she's with and if she might meet someone tonight she'd rather be with than you. Dude, stop. This woman clearly loves you, but she clearly also needs space sometimes. Maybe I chose the wrong decision here. Someone who is able to go out to parties and do stuff, etc. No, clearly she likes you. Okay. You don't need to worry about any of that nonsense. And if she does want to go out with somebody else, well, you just have to deal with it, right? Why didn't she invite you? Have you just said no too many times? Again, I think this is a flaw that people have in relationships. They expect their partner to do everything for them, to be their best friend, to be their therapist, to be affectionate, to do everything for you. It's okay to have other friends outside of a relationship. Again, I maybe didn't think this through. You begin to think that maybe it would be better if she met someone tonight. She's a wonderful woman and you feel like a constant killjoy on her nights out. No, seriously. People need to live their own lives, man. The next morning, Alex calls you back. She tells you that she'd left her phone in class and spent a boring night in her apartment too. You feel horribly embarrassed about how emotional you've gotten over mistaken assumptions. It's a cold Sunday afternoon. You just arrived at Alex's apartment and you're happy to finally see her after a week of absence due to your schedules not lining up. You hug in the doorway, but she breaks away sooner than normal and sits down on the couch and takes off your sneakers and lays them in the usual place right next to hers. There's something I was hoping we could talk about, actually, she said. You instantly worry that you're being blindsided by a breakup conversation due to the sudden shift in tone, but she quickly smiles and puts you at ease. It's nothing bad, I promise. With that, she leads you over to the couch and sits down at the other end facing you. So I hope this doesn't freak you out, and if you feel like things are going too fast, just tell me. She talks faster than usual and fidgets. We seem to have a lot of weeks like this and they really suck. I was thinking I'd ask, since things are so strong with us, what are your thoughts on maybe moving in together? Yeah, no, I think that'd be great. Do you want to? You ask. Well, yeah, I do. I mean, we'd have to sort out logistics and everything, but we can take care of it. You start to walk through the steps in your imagination of you two living together. You love the thought of being able to. So she starts, what do you think? Tell her you want to, but you have concerns and discuss them honestly. Tell her you don't think it's a good idea for you right now. Decide to move in regardless of your worries. I'm going to go with option 2. You really worried if Alex were to live with you, she wouldn't be able to deal with your days of being able to get your difficult nights. Where all you can do is stare at the wall and panic. Even though you've discussed your situation with her, you feel like she doesn't realise the depths of how bad it gets. Well, I'd like to, but I think it's best if we talk about it a bit more before committing to a decision. Though she seems a little defeated, you make it clear that you're not making excuses and actually mean that you want to talk. You reiterate a lot of what you told Alex that night, and although she gets a little defensive and tells you she knows all of that already, she confirms that she is willing to help you sort out your issues. I feel like you forgot I love you sometimes. I know that there will be bad days, and I'd rather try to work through them with you. We can figure this all out together. The words sway you, but you can't help but hold her close to you. It's December, And you return to your parents' home to celebrate the holidays. Oh man, look. It's such a simple question. How are you doing these days, Mum's asked. Well, sorry guys. When you think about the past few months and what you've been through in trying to deal with them, what you feel most is an overwhelming sense of exhaustion, soul-crushing, mundane of your job. I can't do it anymore, guys. Epilogue. You really want to thank you for taking the time of playing Depression Quest. We realise it may not be the most enjoyable game we've ever played, or the easiest, but we sincerely appreciate your involvement. So, let's do the credits, man. Zoe Quinn, Patrick Lindsay, music, loads of requests on the screen. Special thank yous. What do you think, guys? So I just want to say, because this is sort of dealing with depression, maybe I should have read the last 2 pages. I'm sorry, guys. I feel like this was quite an interesting video. It's almost like a therapy session in itself, because it sort of makes you think about difficult situations. And I know I've talked a lot during this game, and probably I've faced a few demons of myself, of my own. I know I'm not always coherent when I'm tired, and I am really tired today. Funnily enough, I didn't sleep very well last night, like the protagonist. But anyway, I hope you found the game kind of enjoyable and a bit interesting. This was a really weird video for me, to be honest, and it's not the normal kind of thing you see on YouTube. It's been really honest, and there's a lot of stuff in here. All I want to say is, you know, if you're dealing with any kind of depression or anything like that, I think it's always worth chatting to people and, you know, getting sort of professional help and, you know, using your sort of friendship network. And if this game taught us anything, it's for being honest with people is always like the best thing, I think. Maybe it would have been nice at the end to move in with my girlfriend, actually. You know, sometimes you got to take a leap. I was quite conservative in that run, I think. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think, and I'll speak to you soon. Oh, and just as a final aside, my new book's out. If you do want to read something, you can. So I will see you soon.